Hey everybody, this is Tim. I don't have Mark with me because he is at work and can't take a lunch break, but I'm on my lunch break right now. So I figured I would spend a few minutes, obviously, updating the campaign and getting the surveys out. So those are already out. If you did not get the update, well, there's a couple of things that you need to do. First and foremost, read the update and make sure that you do not have certain keywords blocked or put into your spam filter or are under your promotions, because when you get your tracking number, and probably most importantly when you get your PDF, those are going to go straight into either the trash bin or the spam folder, and you don't want that to happen. But the surveys did go out. Make sure that you log into your Kickstarter account and fill those out so that you will be guaranteed a book, a pledge, a gift, whatever you want to call it, once we enter fulfillment. Second of all, right now we are on track for fulfillment. We should be on time. The last I heard from our printers was that shipping will occur on November the 13th. Now, every time I get those numbers, it's an approximation. Sometimes they give me the date that it's supposed to arrive at fulfillment, and sometimes they give me the date that it ships from their warehouse. In any case, if it's November the 13th, that means that the latest it's going to arrive at fulfillment will be November the 15th. So we're looking at a mid-November fulfillment. It does not typically start right away. They normally have to prepare the comics for packaging and for shipping. So give it about 3 to 5 business days, and then things go out. They have been looking at our numbers, and honestly, they're fairly astronomical. I'll be getting at that in just a second. So they're already preparing a fairly large team to handle it. For people who might not know, or again, we did post 2 or 3 updates about it. I'm going to run the numbers tonight to see what we have left for Indiegogo. We don't know if we're going to run it this year or not. We only run campaigns once we enter the active fulfillment of the previous one. So one, we have to make sure that we enter fulfillment. So once we get the books, we inspect them, we make sure that they're okay. If they're not, if there's something wrong, we have to contact the printer and get that taken care of ASAP. But let's assume everything is going as planned and we enter fulfillment. We have to see what things are like in mid-November. Things are kind of crazy around the United States. Luckily, where we live right now in the South, things are fairly stable. I mean, there's still food on the shelves and gas is still pretty expensive, but our gas prices are lower than the rest of the country. But we don't know how things are going to look like a month from now. So if they're saying that there's no guarantee of a Christmas delivery because of the hecticness of the holiday season, one, we may postpone it until next spring, so in January. Or the second thing that could happen is when we run it, it's only going to be a week. Right now, the way it's looking, I only ordered 3,500 books. And the reason I did that was because I did it based on the previous campaign. Normally, we have not been growing at the rate that we have, but we were very, very shocked when on the first day of our campaign, we made a number that was crazy algorithmically in terms of how fast our growth potential was. And so my calculations were off. I thought 3,500 would be a fairly good number. And as we just saw from today, we're very close to that. Now, the good thing is that we typically order about 200 extra copies as surplus from our printer. So we will have enough to deal with it, but just don't be surprised if we launch an Indiegogo campaign that's only open for a week and we're only offering like 100 books. That's not us being spiteful. That's not by design. It's based on a calculation that I make, and the error either way will be all mine. Because we have to order these books way ahead of time to guarantee a fast fulfillment. Our printer is very busy. They deal with a lot of print jobs nationwide. And so for the dedication that they have to kind of personalizing our books and whatever, also the deal that we get from them, we're put in a waiting queue. And that waiting queue can take anywhere between 2 to 4 months, depending on when you place your order. So I place these orders way ahead of time. And I really did think that 3,500 would cut it, because the last time we did a campaign, we had 2,200 backers. So that meant that we had an easy surplus of over 1,000 books. And I was kind of sweating bullets this morning, because I just thought, oh my gosh, like we might not even have enough for a second campaign. So we do, but it might be short. And so for those of you who really, really wanted a book, I know some of you jumped to Kickstarter. Thank you for doing that. It actually makes it easier on fulfillment, because they just have to worry about one go around. But if you did want to hold out for Indiegogo, just be sure you're fast on the draw. Let me look at the chat real quick. Jim Tuner says, another celebration of a failed franchise. There's a lot of debate about this type of thing. I mean, I'll just be honest. We don't expect much. There's only 2 of us. So basically, I mean, heck, if we're making like $500, I mean, it's like a hobby. So that's enough for us, as far as like, well, from our expectation of getting paid, it's just icing on the cake, really. If we want to talk about it from a business point of view, our metric of success is the backer number. It's kind of that whole thing of, you know, when you're asked as a kid, would you rather have $1 million right now, or would you rather have a penny every day that's doubled as every day goes by? And it's a kind of elementary math question, because the obvious answer is you want the penny, because in the long term, every day, that's going to compound to the point where you're going to make a lot of money. It doesn't matter to us necessarily in terms of how much money we raise per campaign. I mean, we struggled in those first few years to get funding, but at the end of the day, we're still satisfied, and we didn't give up, because I mean, heck, if we walk away with $700, it's fine. $700 that we didn't have before, and we just take the money and put it into the next book that we're doing. But backer number, I mean, heck, if we're getting like 6,000 backers and we're able to price our hardback books for, I don't know, let's just pick a number, $1.50, and we're not changing the price of our books, then over a period of time, as the backer number increases, then the amount of capital that we can raise increases too. So we're happy because we're making money, and we hope that the backers are happy because we've passed savings on to them. We're very proud to say that over the last 4 years of us doing this, that we have kept our promise and we dropped our prices. The first book I worked on was with Chuck Dixon, and that was a $25 book. And during some interviews that we gave, when people would ask, why is the book so expensive? I mean, I told them that part of it is a capital investiture, that we wanted to make sure that we would have the funding necessary. And me personally, even though I haven't worked with Chuck in a while, so obviously he did with his funds as he pleased. What Mark and I set out to do was we wanted to see what things we could address that were matters of complaint in our circle of friends, and see how we could work with them. One of them, looking from crowdfunding, is price. $25 per book is expensive. How in the world can you, or should you, reduce that over a period of time? And we did that. Another thing is, for example, people complain about the kind of unprofessionalism behavior-wise in mainstream professional creators. I would say that Mark and I have done a fairly good job of that as well. We don't really engage or combat anyone. Now, Mark is a little bit more bombastic than I am, but he never gets into fights, at least on social media. Nowadays, I just kind of avoid it altogether. How do you solve the problem of, let's say, people raising the prices of their books or having gimmicks to try and make up the difference? We typically will offer one variant cover in a blue moon. I mean, we kind of did that for 2 previous campaigns, but we run things pretty lean, and we try to make it so that if we don't necessarily have gimmicks, we do have merchandise, and that's because people want it. That's fine. I understand that in the American comics market, people like variants and things like that, and that's okay too. But we're looking at it from the angle of criticism, where people say that a lot of times they have to do that to make up for dwindling sales numbers. Our backer number increased, I'm very happy to say, by 1,100 in 30 days. That's compared to the previous number made by Black Ops X Kamen America, which was a 60-day campaign. A lot of that, looking at our backdoor metrics, comes from Webtoon. So that really paid off. We were able to get a lot of new viewers from there, and that will actually skew our readership into the 20s and the late teens, which is very good. That's something that we really like. So people can talk about how we do compared to other people, and they might say, oh, but they made more money on less backers. Well, that's fine. We're not really looking at the money. We're looking at the backers. And that's just our perspective in terms of how we gauge our success. And at some point, I know we're probably going to hit a plateau. But for the meantime, we're very happy with where we are. Oh, Eric Canetti is in the chat. Hey, Eric. Eric he's with us with Iconic Comics, and he has Arc Athena, and he recently closed out his campaign to very good numbers as well. And he and I are going to be talking because even though like Kamen America is the flagship character of the Iconic Comics brand, I think that given Eric's professionalism, and I mean that both as a vocation and the way he conducts himself, I think people are going to be very happy with Arc Athena. And if you like looking at numbers, I think that within the next year, he's easily going to achieve those numbers. And we might be looking to him in terms of ideas that he has for a merchandise or for cutting really good deals on product and for printing. So I'm very happy that he has joined, and we could definitely use some of his business acumen to make decisions in the future. There's Cheyenne 70. Hey, Cheyenne, happy birthday. She had a birthday recently. She has 2 Easter eggs in our books. There's one in Kamen America Volume 3, and there's one in Volume 5 coming out in the spring. Speaking of which, for Volume 5, I am more than halfway done with that book. I expect to be done in about 2.5 weeks, and then I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'll be working on some webtoon stuff, and then hopefully we'll be launching that in mid to late January of next year. I got to get together with the printer and make sure that we can submit everything in time for it to get queued up to get printed. Let's see here. Some regulars in here. There's Dave Asanovich, Hervoje. Oh, Hervoje. I haven't seen you in quite a while. Let's see here. Bullet Ninja Haggleman. I think that we only knew you as Bullet Ninja. I don't know where the Haggleman came from. That's really cool. Jim Tuner says it's been proven by science that all Kamen America campaigns lose money, are not really comics, and only appear successful because Tim is a medical professional. Yeah, that's all true. Oh, Tim also finally got some good advice and stopped making them political comics because political comics are inherently bad. If we didn't make political comics, there wouldn't be a Kamen America, because Kamen America is actually a spin-off of a political parody. I've been seeing that floating around. Some guy was like, oh, they took my advice and stopped making political comics. Well, not really, because the last political comic we put out was One Might 3, The Magalorian, which I guess was after that period of quote unquote said advice. We don't take advice from professionals. Most people know my opinion about them. The last few years, I can count on probably one hand how many I truly respect. But even the ones I respect, I noticed that there's some glaring errors in terms of how they conduct business. For example, some of them will finish books and then approach us, even though they're part of huge networks, asking how we print. And they don't mean like hooking them up with a printer. They mean like, how do you put a PDF together? And that blind spot is because of the process by which comics are made. It's typically like an assembly line. So I don't fault them for that. I fault them for being part of a larger professional network. And I'm thinking to myself, what do you guys talk about behind the scenes? Because I can tell you that whenever Alejandro Mirabal or Doug Ernst or Mark or George Alexopoulos or Matt Weldon or Bill Williams, whenever we talk in private, it's typically all business. We're always trying to find out, well, how did you do that? What's the name of that paper stock you used? What's the process by which we can get this mold made? Things of that nature. And just the fact that you do have some of these people who have been asking us questions that we just think are they should be things that should already be known before you even launch something, I think show that there is a very big discrepancy between independent creators who do the homework themselves to find these things out versus people who just kind of expect these things after the fact. They're more focused on how they do on the front end. So no, we don't take advice, and we definitely didn't take advice for any of the political stuff. I mean, if you really want to know the reason, but probably one of the reasons why we can't make a sequel to Walmart is because we're in a new administration. So it was fun. And I think the previous president was definitely like this cartoonish figure that lent himself well for humorous comic and content and commentary, but we're just living in different times. But no, without any of the political books that we had, there would not be Kamen America. She is definitely a natural evolution from that series, and we carried that spirit of humor with her, and we do touch, kind of with a leitmotif on a little bit of politics, but not overtly and not kind of in a partisan way, just in a very generic sense. Let's see here. Other things they get wrong are never do digital, because as Richard said, digital comics destroy the emotional bond between the career and the paper book. We are still doing digital, but next year, for people who haven't seen the update, we are going to Amazon Kindle. Those have been selling very, very, very well. And the problem that we have with digital is a couple of things. One, digital for us is only available for 7 days with a 31-day arbitration period, so that if you have a problem with downloading it or something happened, we've had a few people who are like, I was in the hospital for that time. Can I still get a link? So we do have that 31-day window where they can ask us. But for the most part, I would say 95% of the time, the messages that we get are, hey, I didn't download in time. Send me the link. It's not even there's no proper apology or approach to it. It's this kind of very demanding thing. And I can't begin to tell you that there are people who will tell them it's more than 31 days. Our policy says that you only have that amount of time. And I mean, they get pretty mad about it. I mean, some of them say that they'll even contact Kickstarter and have them red flag us or say we didn't fulfill and that type of thing. And so we just thought, Kindle is good because you can get it anytime you want. You can be as late as you want, and it's delivered automatically to your device. And then we had some people say, well, I don't like Amazon Kindle because, for one reason or the other. Can't you just hire customer service? It's like, well, we do hire customer service with Iconic Comics, but they're busy doing their own thing. They're fulfilling at least 7 titles. And now they have to take time out of their day to answer random messages from people where it's like Kamen America Volume 1. Hey, I didn't download my thing in time. Send me another one. And they're just like, are you kidding me? Like, how in the world? It's been 2 years. I mean, it's like you were expecting kind of a grandiose explanation. Like, hey, I got trapped on a desert island and I really want this book that I ordered. But no, it's just this kind of attitude that they have where it's like, no, gimme, gimme, gimme. Well, next year, if you're a physical backer, you'll get the digital PDF. That's fine. That's not a problem at all. But we will have it. So we'll basically upload Volume 4 onto Amazon, and it'll be available for pre-order even the day that the campaign launches. So you just have to wait basically for the campaign to end, and then it gets delivered in pretty much the same time frame directly to your device. Now, they say that Amazon has like DRM, digital rights media, attached to it. I don't know anything about that because, I mean, I previewed my copies and I don't put watermarks on there. And I think that they have it so that if you do try to take like screenshots, they do some trick where they do watermark it, but I don't know. All I know is that it's been pretty good for us so far. Now, that's a temporary solution. If we can find another one, like for example, one thing we explored was having kind of a built-in user interface for Iconic Comics where they can enter the portal, make a download, and then we can probably limit it where it's like, hey, this code is good for like 2 or 3 downloads, and do it that way. We can, but in the meantime, like I said, it's something that we're gonna have to work on. But it is just too time consuming between Mark and myself and the people at Iconic to take time out and do it. And I think especially with the people at Iconic, there's some times where maybe for a week or 2, they might be slow to answer emails because they're doing other things. And what happens is people get irate. So you'll have a guy who's not only late to download it, kind of rude when he emails them and say, hey, give me my link. And then like 3-5 days passes by and he's, basically at this point just throwing a fit. And customer service is like, what in the world? So like I said, most of the readers that we have are very kind and they've been very nice and generous. But to make things as smooth as possible for the reader and for us, there are just some things that we are implementing and doing to make the whole experience as fast and as easy as possible. But we're always open to suggestions. And let's see here. Let's see. Any other questions in here? You guys are all talking about one guy. That's funny. Oh, we have a new person here. We have John Hansen. Hey, Tim, congrats on the campaign. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know if this is your first time listening in, but if it is, welcome. We don't really do many videos because I really can't do a video unless I have something to say. I don't like to waste people's time, but stick around because typically when we do have streams, they're usually pretty entertaining. And then Second Street Marvel is here. Thank you so much. He's rocking out. Fizz Chozo, I haven't seen you in a long time either. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for making your presence known. Oh man, I have a lot of catching up to do here. I think I was ranting there for a while. Okay, here we go. Andrew J, congrats on your well-run campaign per usual. Huge, thank you. Scribbles. So this is, if you got any of the sticker sheets from the previous campaign, this is the nice lady who did that. And her art is incredible. If you go to Art of Scribbles at Store Envy, I think, or is it Shopify? Let me take a look real quick. It is. It's, yeah, myshopify.com. She has a lot of cool things. She also has the first officially licensed Kamen America merchandise. So she sells charms. She sells charms of the whole Kamen core, and they're really, really cool. And she has a lot of ideas too. There's one that we're debuting in January that I can't wait to show everyone. It's fantastic. So she's great. And her husband, Rangemaster Dan, is awesome too. Very reliable. He's actually part of the Iconics team. And they do a lot of labor and they do a lot of behind the scenes stuff that helps with the fulfillment. So I'm very happy. And I miss you guys too. A lot of days, my wife and I, we like being back home, but there's a lot of days where we miss a lot of the other things in Texas. We miss the people. We miss the food for sure. And we miss the fact that it was a very small community, but everyone knew each other. And we met so many cool people down there for sure. Phantom of the Night. K is taking a short break after this, right? Or are you going straight to K Volume 5? No, there is no real short break. The short break is on my end. I typically will take a week off and kind of doodle and do odds and ends. It's the holiday season, so I'm normally busy with other things, but I have to prepare another set of web comics for Webtoon, so that's what I'll be doing. But Kamen America 5 will be ready to go. And like I said, that will be launching in mid to late January. So I'm very happy about that. I'm on page 32 right now. And I had a winning streak recently. I did 2 pages a day for about 3 days. And so I really knocked some out of the park. But I had to play catch up because I had the virus we're not supposed to mention on YouTube. I had that, and that put me out of commission for about 11 days. And I forced myself to do a few pages in there, but it was not fun. And I can tell those pages because they didn't turn out too well, but I've shown them to people and they say, yeah, it's fine. You can get away with it. Okay. No, the way you make money now is NFTs and cryptocurrency. I did do an NFT. I honestly don't understand it. It was at the suggestion of friends of mine. They're like, hey, sign up here, put this out there, and just wait and watch. And then I haven't looked at it, but I think in the first day I sold 1, and that's it. So I hear crypto is actually doing pretty well nowadays, but I don't know enough about it to really have an opinion. I've actually listened to several videos explaining NFTs, and I'm still like, I don't get it. I don't really understand like owning something digitally. I mean, I just like, screenshot them and save them as PDFs, I guess. But like I said, I think that whole community, they look at this stuff a little bit differently than I do. So I'm not going to really profess that I have any expertise on it. My opinion is really invalid as far as this is concerned. Neil, I haven't seen you either. I really appreciate how you're committed with getting your product out on time in such excellent condition. So thank you for that. No, absolutely. Thank you. I'm glad that you recognize that and you like it. That is something that, again, that was a big concern a few years ago. It was like, oh my gosh, why is everything so late? And don't get me wrong, our first campaign, we were late by a month. But we've been on time or early in most cases. And like I said, whenever we have to compete against former mainstream professionals, we have to do things that set ourselves apart. And we try to set ourselves apart from them by our timeliness. That's one way of doing it. And we hope that customers take a look at that and they're like, wait a minute, these guys are just hobbyists. How in the world are they doing this? And how come these other guys can't do the same thing? That's really just that comparison of, I guess, two different business models. So we like it. Like I said, we're doing pretty well, and we have a lot of momentum. So we're very proud about that. Will in the near future be shipping to countries of the world such as the Middle East? I wish. Shipping to the Middle East is tough. It is very, very hard because of customs. They have a tendency to open a lot of parcels coming from the United States. And based on, for example, whatever we have in Common America, I have heard that a lot of books of our nature that depict women a certain way, they tend to be under a lot of scrutiny. So I don't know. We're going to have to do some more research on that. But that is one of those things that we, looked at real quick. And then we thought it was kind of a very easy answer, which is for the moment, not really. Oh, Thomas Royloop. So I am going to get to thank yous towards the end, but this chat just kind of got ahead of me. So I did want to say thank you to the Royloop brothers, SWC. They've always been very good friends of ours for the last 4 years. We get along very well. Their sense of humor is definitely, it's, how do I explain it? They tell some of the jokes that I probably would tell if people didn't know who I was. So we like them. We like the fact that they've stood up for us and that they have done a very good job of telling people about our work, which is why we actually hired them to do the backup story for My Hero Macadamia Volume 3, the Walmart book. Not a lot of people know that, but if you like that story in the back, that is all them. They wrote the script for that. People talking about Common America team-ups, or she might team up with Laylee soon somehow in some goofy way. Their character, Laylee, has actually, I think she's had a cameo in every single book that we've done so far. There are some other things that we haven't announced yet. There's one big one that it's so big, I haven't even told Mark, but I think we're going to be revealing that here in just a couple of weeks. It's fairly big. I think the only person who knows is Wes from Thinking Critical, and he was like, "Holy cow, that's huge!" I was like, "Really? I don't." It involves a hobby I'm not too involved in, but apparently it's a big deal. So I can't wait to show people that. What advice? Oh, Comic Stripped. What advice do you have to aspiring cartoonists? You're asking the wrong guy because I did not go to art school. I honestly don't know what I'm doing. I was listening to these streams and someone was like, well, everyone knows that this artist, his art is way better than Tim's. Like, there's just sometimes I don't think Tim knows what he's doing. I think that was meant to be an insult to me because they don't particularly like me. It's just fine. But I just thought to myself, like, well, I actually don't know what I'm doing. So if you're coming to me for comic advice, oh man, you're coming to the wrong person. You can hit up Eric Canetti or Matt Weldon. Like, those guys know what they're doing. I, on the other hand, I do the page and I'm like, okay, does it make sense to me? Is there anyone in there that looks wonky, like where I messed up the anatomy? And are the colors nice and colorful so that I think they look pleasing to the eye? That's it. The only thing I would suggest is for cartoonists and for comic creators, there's books by Scott McCloud that are pretty good. You can disagree with him on some technical aspects, but I think overall he does a very good job in encapsulating how to use comics as a good medium for storytelling, not just storyboards for Netflix deals or Hulu deals or Hollywood or whatever. Drawn Talk. Bruh, set up your super chats. Congrats to you and Mark. Happy for both of you. Hey, if you could walk me through that, Tyler, I'd appreciate it. I know we already crossed 1,000 something subs, but I honestly don't know how to set any of this stuff up. That would be fun though. I might take super chats and do, I don't know, sketches or something. That might be kind of cool. The Common America webtoon is great also. Oh, thank you. It's slice of life. Like, it's fairly lighthearted. You can read it or you don't have to, but some people seem to really like it because, I don't know, they're just kind of goofy stories. Shane Plays. I haven't seen you in a while either. Political comics aren't inherently bad. Bad creators are inherently bad. Yeah. And like I said, I've done like 2, 3, 4 streams already talking about my opinion on prose, so I'm not going to go into that. Let's see here. How about a Let's Go Brandon holiday special? That stuff is so hysterical. And Franco Fernandez will definitely back all of your campaigns. Yes, if you like the work. That is the big one. We're very happy that we don't have sycophants. We're talking to a guy at one of these conventions. This guy he wanted to kind of argue with us, and I was like, well, there's these people, and they can act sycophantically. And he was like, what's a sycophant? And I was like, oh man, I know for some people that's kind of a big word, but basically it's like, I always tell people that you shouldn't buy my books because you like my personality. In fact, I think the biggest compliment is if you buy my books without liking my personality, because it means that we at least are doing our job. But if you like our books, then yes, definitely, I do think that you should get them, and I really appreciate it. We always, as far as Common America and Black Ops goes, we always tailor the book specifically for a message. Like, you could ask us kind of thematically what it is that we wanted to achieve and what is the emotion we want to elicit in the reader. And so we craft it in a very specific way to get that emotion. And I think that that's part of the appeal of it. And so if we succeed in doing our job, then I hope that you continue to support us. And that is very encouraging. So thank you very much. And I hope that we can continue to entertain and make you happy, because ultimately, that's all we're doing. There's a hobby to us. We're just basically amusing ourselves. But if we can amuse other people too with our work, that's great. I think the pros are just too used to everyone doing all their work for them. Never had to do any work outside. Yeah. That's part of it. I mean, I think part of it too is that they don't want to do the work. They want to have it handed to them, and they don't even do the research. They just think that they're going to waltz into it and have it kind of spoon-fed to them, and that's just not how it works. Now, there are exceptions to that. Alejandro Mirabal, he is like pseudo-professional in that, I mean, this is kind of what he's been doing his whole life, just random illustrations. He used to do it for archaeology. He's a good guy. Brett Smith, he kind of left the mainstream a few years ago, like in terms of getting work. He's a good guy as well. And then in the chat, we have Eric Canetti. And Eric Canetti, I've said and I've joked many times that he's kind of dispelled my prejudices against professionals in the way he conducts himself. So when I say that, I say it kind of half jokingly. So there are obviously exceptions to a lot of people. Oh, Evie. Hey, is this the same Evie from Matthew Reese's stream? Your art is really good. I like it. You're very good at caricatures. I like your style. It's very cartoony. If you ever do like a comic or something, I would like to know, because I like it. It's so cute. The illustrations I've seen so far. So Scribbles, miss you. Are you feeling being sick? Okay. I gained my sense of taste back last week. That was fun. And I can exercise for like 50 minutes now without getting winded. So I'm doing great. I'm doing a lot better than I was before. Thank you for asking. Lorenzo C said, I missed on the campaign to understand what was meant by pre-order. All of our campaigns are pre-orders because they're done. So all you're doing is just ordering the book. I mean, that's all there is to it. You can call it anything you want, whether it be campaign or pre-order. It kind of means the same thing. Oh, it's Nerd Wonder. Hey. I haven't seen you since, well, Bell County Comic Con, but as far as like in stream, it's kind of rare that you make an appearance. A Bunny and a Moomin are gonna destroy Corpo Comics one day. No. As far as like our ambitions are concerned, I don't ever think of that. I mean, you have like 2 multi-billion-dollar corporations, and I think me saying that that's something we're going to do. It's kind of a pipe dream. If it happens, it happens. I mean, don't get me wrong, but you know, I'm happy that you have so much faith in this, I guess. I'm very happy. We're only happy that we have readers, you know, like everything else is just the icing on the cake. Someone comes to us and they're like, hey, you want to make action figures? It's like, all right, cool. But that's not like the end goal. I mean, the end goal is, can we put this stuff out there? That's really what matters. And I skipped a few things here. Scott McCloud will collect dust in your shelf. I honestly read those books once. I look at them once in a while as a reference, but yeah, you know, I think after a while I just gave my copies to people who I felt like needed them more than me. So my chat is doing something really weird. It's like populating it with new comments in between things I've already like looked at. And it's acting kind of strange. And I think it's because I'm slow to it's slow to catch up. So I'm going back a little bit. Porto Mule, congrats. Not to sound too fruity, but I'm extremely proud of you guys. I can't believe how well this campaign did. You did it. No, thank you. We like looking back and seeing how we were. About 2.5 years ago, I think. So when we were doing Black Ops 2, it was one of our very first campaigns, and our goal was like 5K, and we were struggling to make it. I mean, we were persona non grata. We were told by basically a group of people not to associate, and it's like, don't back those guys. Those guys suck, whatever. And we really relied on two of our friends, Matthew Veely and Doug Garrett, to help us out with that one. And we never forgot it. That we always thought that was a very cool thing that they did for us. When possible, assuming that someone's work is good, it's not just if it's independent, and it's not just if you're a small time creator. It's almost like in the past there are certain small projects that we've helped and they've disappointed, and so we like to make sure that it's people that we can trust because the product is good, and we try as much as possible, when possible, to pay it forward in that regard, because we remember where we came from. And so again, looking at backer number, that's what we're very interested in, because like I said, at some point you're going to reach kind of a near plateau. Even if you're like a really good manga seller and you're selling like 10 million copies, well, at some point there's going to be that plateau where you're like, oh, you're hovering between 10,500,000 and 10,700,000. You do hit kind of the ceiling where it becomes harder and harder to gain new ground. So we're just very thankful and blessed for whatever we can get. Gentleman Jin, you're another new one I haven't seen here before. Congrats on the run. Really got to be Order 56 again. Can't wait to have the next book in my hands. Thank you so much. Issue 5 is going to be here before you know it. And assuming, so now the ball is in our printer's court, assuming that they ship by November 13th like they say they will, you're going to have this book pretty quickly. The team is already being prepped and assembled. So they're ready to go. This is going to be a very big fulfillment. I don't envy them. Now, Mark and I are going to be driving down there once we get notification that the books have arrived and they're okay. We're going to be driving down there to sign about 1,000 of them. If I'm not mistaken, I was looking at the count and I think it was 960 something add-ons for the signed books. So we're going to make it down there, and I can't wait so we can see all of our friends in Texas. John Hansen, thanks for replying. I've only seen some of your streams. I have every Common America volume so far and had a blast. An artist, you have great taste. Oh, thank you. I have great taste. I have a very specific look I'm going for. So we have like a Rolodex of about 300 Japanese artists that we're going through, and they're all great. Like they're all what I would consider primetime A-listers. The only problem is this: for a lot of them, they draw so similarly that I can't tell them apart. Like there's 6 of them who draw almost exactly the same. What we look for is we try to find those artists where the style is so distinct that you know who they are. And a lot of them are up and comers, and I'm just like, we're going to pay you very well, and we're going to give you some exposure that will hopefully help you as well. So it's a twofold thing. Some people try to get people on just exposure, but it's like, no, we actually will pay you for it too. Porto Mule is Lum Drop. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Lorenzo, is there going to be Indiegogo? You can refer to what I said in the very beginning. Yes, with exceptions. There are going to be some some stipulations to that based on quantity because we are running low. What's good, guys? Was really good. It's good, Rob Kuro. I don't. Yeah, I've seen you in the chat. Sorry. I think I've seen you on Discord too. I'm getting kind of confused here. Let's see. I saw only the first part of this chat because Tim and Mark actually love making comics, and also their books are sent out on time. Okay. Oh, Dan Wise is here too. Okay, way to go, Tim and Mark. Dan, Rangemaster Dan. All right, if you're still here, I need you to listen very carefully. When those books arrive at the storage area, I'm giving you verbal permission to go in and inspect those books and make sure that they're good. And if we need to FaceTime so you can be like, hey, Tim, I'm going to flip through here. Please make sure that this is how you want it to be. That's fine. Or you and your wife can actually read through it and make sure that they're okay. This is the part that makes me really nervous because I think so far in the last 2.5 years, we've had one misprint, but it was a fairly bad one. So I'm very paranoid about that, but I'm assuming that that's going to be good. Full custom hot dog. Can we say trains, Common America? Please say trains, Common America. X Thomas the Tank Engine. Sure. If they contact us, they might be like, oh, that's really cool. Oh, you actually bought it, Understanding Comics. Yes. So the reason it's good is because that book, he actually used it as a comic book to kind of tell you about how comics are used as the medium. A lot of times, the reason why a lot of comics are boring nowadays, if not just bad, is because they don't utilize the medium of comics to its fullest potential. There's been one book by Marvel in the last, I guess, 5 or 6 years. Actually did a really good job of doing it. I know this is going to sound really cringy, but hear me out. It was the first run of Gwenpool from issues 1 through 3. And I forgot who the writer was, Christopher something, but the artist is Guru Hiru. They're a Japanese sister team out of Japan. And they did some really cool things because what Gwenpool can do is she's aware that she's in a comic, so kind of like what Deadpool does. So she'll do things like panel breaks and kind of step outside of the borders and things like that. And it's really fun because they're essentially using a lot of these tips that Scott McCloud talks about in that book. So it's very good for comic creators who want to utilize the medium to their fullest potential. So that's I'm glad that you got that. You'll have to let me know how you like it, Thomas. Let's see here. Have you seen the waifu cups from Gamer Subs? Yeah, I don't know. I looked at it. I looked at their product line, and I just thought I don't understand how it's any different from, I guess, some other places that we've seen that can do this type of manufacturing. So we'll just have to see how. I don't know. Like I said, it is on our list of things to consider, but we're gonna have to take a little bit more time to consider it. Okay, I think I'm caught up now. Sketchosaurus Rex, been collecting since volume 2 because of Just Some Guys review. Keep it up. I'm excited for volume 4. Thank you. I think you'll like it. How do you put out content while also managing work life? I'm a workaholic by nature. Even when I go on vacation, I'm a workaholic. I schedule everything. So even like, for example, we used to go DC almost every year, and I had an itinerary. We go to Disney World fairly regularly, not because I'm like in love with the corporation or whatever, but because it's a family vacation. We've been doing it since I was about 8 years old, and I plan everything. So people joke whenever they vacation with me. They're like, man, even when Tim is on vacation, he's working. But I'll tell you a big one. It's the fact I don't have kids, or we don't have kids, my wife and I. When we do, I am pretty sure my workflow is going to slow. So enjoy it while you can. We will always have the business model of not putting out a campaign until the work is done. So that's a good thing, is that really all you're going to have to do is wait for the campaign. You're not going to have to wait for the book. So that's a good thing. But, those things are going to happen eventually. Let's see here. For now, Common America books are just for North America. Our plans to export the books. We actually do export them to Germany, Australia, the UK, What was the other country? Japan. And I can't think of the fifth one. So we actually do send them to a few European countries. Let's. Yes, don't forget to fill out your surveys. That's very important. We have some people like, oh my gosh, 2 weeks ago, we did have someone from Kamen America Volume 1. They're like, I can't find my survey. I'm like, that survey link expired. Like back in January. My gosh. So yeah, definitely fill out those surveys. Okay. Oh, hey Matt, nice to see you in here as well. Ironverse Comics, that's Cody Fernandez. He has a really good book too. It's Jack Irons. That's out. Eric Canetti, come on. Thank you for letting me ride your coattails. Eric Canetti impressed me, not only with his professionalism, but the fact that from the very beginning when we were talking, we talked business. And I explained to him why my grievances against the way professionals in the mainstream and in the independent scene conduct themselves. And he was totally on board. So I'm hoping that Eric Canetti sets a gold standard for professionals. And I hope that we can set some standard for independent creators. And I don't mean that in terms of you have to make it to where we are right now, because honestly, a lot of this is luck, frankly. I mean, we just happened to luck into the fact that we knew an entrepreneur who wanted to do fulfillment. Not everyone is going to have that. But what is going to be present will always be the spirit of ingenuity and innovation, where there are no obstacles to you doing what you want. Now, getting your book into the eyes of people who can share it, gaining the capital to make it. I mean, these are factors that obviously I have no control over, but they are factors that you can mitigate over time. If your art is poor, you can work on your art. If your storytelling is poor, you can work on your story. If you can't hire a good cover artist, you can save up the money to do so. There are a lot of feasible ways of succeeding. And again, the metric of success is only going to be what your personal standard is. I honestly ignore a lot of the talk comparing our stuff to other people, because I'm like, well, we're not going to compete with that guy because they charge double the price for their book. It's almost kind of pointless in terms of me trying to argue that. I'm just saying that from where we're standing, we like backer number better. So, Nagorman, I noticed in the new Kamen America commission, she's got a new costume. Is that a costume going forward after KA4? You're gonna have to wait and see. So that is something that may or may not be a spoiler. Okay, here it is, catching up. Horikoshi does some really cool stuff with panels. Yeah. A lot of manga artists do. They get it. And I read a lot of slice of life and comedy, and they definitely know how to pace it so that it what's funny is that it's not like they're breaking the mold with the type of comedy that they have. It's just that they use time tested tricks of the trade to make it engaging. They're not trying to be groundbreaking in terms of telling a funny story, so to speak. Oh, Matthew Reese is correcting me. He says that they're a Japanese sister team out of Barcelona. Okay. Cheyenne, Disney. So the other thing too is that we do have some people like Cheyenne who live or know people who are very close to Disney theme parks. Englentine, for example, is a friend of ours, and he lives very, very close to Disney World. And if you go to Disney World and you talk to some of the people who work there, it's locals. It's a local economy. So boycotting Disney World, I mean, it's kind of whatchamacallit. It has been on my mind, but I always think of people like Englentine and his family and friends who work there. And we've talked to a lot of those cast members, and they're good people. And sometimes you starve one thing and then you starve something else by accident too. Now this year we're not going because our plates are just full at the moment. But we might go there, I think, in February when there's no crowds. That'll be a lot of fun. Oh, Nerd Wonder says Canada. Yeah, it was the other country. completely forgot about them. Man, holy cow, a lot of people are showing up to this chat. Everyone's saying, yo, hello, hey, what's going on, yo? All right, I think I've caught up. So everyone, I think, has been addressed for as far as questions and comments and things like that are concerned. There are some people I want to thank as we approach the hour mark. I want to thank Thinking Critical, because it's very rare that we have people on, that we're on people's shows on the front end to help promote. We don't ask. We never, ever ask people to promote our stuff, and we don't ask for people to do it either. There's been talk of like transactional relationships, and I'm so sick of it. This idea of like, hey, I shared your stuff. How come I don't see you sharing mine? I'm like, well, we don't ask you to. I mean, again, that's one of the reasons why it's like, if you like our stuff and you share it, that's great. And, you know, we're very appreciative of it. But there's so many reasons why we might not reciprocate that. For example, I was sick for 2 weeks. So maybe in that 2 weeks time, I did not see what was going on. And the same thing happened earlier this year. I was in and out of the hospital for 2 weeks back in the spring. And I got contacted by someone, and they were kind of irate because they're like, I saw you're not defending me after all the times I defended you. And I was like, hey, I'm just telling you this because we're friends. I don't want to disclose it, but you know, there's been some things going on, and that's what's been happening. It's not because, like, for one reason or the other, I'm trying to ignore an issue. But even if I was, it's kind of like, well, there's some reasons that might happen. Now, am I ever gonna throw you under the bus publicly? No. Like, you can always ask me for an opinion privately, and I'll tell you kind of what I think. Like, that's kind of what this is all about. But as far as like this whole idea of like a transactional relationship is concerned, I just, like I said, if we like your stuff, then we'll share it. But there can be extenuating circumstances as to kind of why that doesn't happen. So a guy like Wes from Thinking Critical, we don't ask these people to be on. We're either friends or they just like what we have to talk about. Anime and Sparkster is another one who we've known him for quite a while, but he had us on recently. Same thing with Vicky and Dean. We do not provide any of the content I think that Vicky and Dean are looking for, but they just say, you know, hey, we'd love to have you on the show and just chit chat and just talk about kind of innocuous stuff and talk a little bit more about the campaign and whatnot. So, I mean, that's fun. That's cool. We like that. So Thinking Critical, that's Wes, good guy. Very happy that he had us on. Same thing with Matthew Reese. He had us on recently. The Roy Loop brothers have always been very kind. Eric Canetti had me on, and I had him on likewise. And that's more of a collegial thing because we work essentially for the same imprint. Just Some Guy. I've said repeatedly, we don't have a connection to Just Some Guy other than I think I've messaged him a few times to just tell him thank you. But he's at his liberty to review our books or not. And we like the fact that he reviews our books after he gets them because he's giving an honest opinion on the work. And that's helped us tremendously. So I want to say thank you to him. I want to say thank you to the Comic Book Hut. We've known, he's another guy we've known for quite a while now. And he's always been very kind to us and very generous with some of the very positive things that he's said. And I don't want to forget him. Same thing with Doug Ernst. Doug Ernst is a friend of ours as well, but he does have a YouTube channel and he does have a social media presence and an outreach that we don't have. He was on a radio station recently in St. Louis, and he basically was able to talk about iconic comics for a good, I think, 15 minutes. So that was a really good one. You can look on his Twitter page and check that out. And he and I have been friends for, I think, going on 4 years now. And we're very happy to know each other, and we're very happy to be in this collegial partnership with Iconic Comics. It's been very, it's been a very blessed year and a half as far as our progress is concerned. Who else do I have to thank? There's just too many people, you know, when you think about it. Bill Williams and Matt Weldon. Some of our artists that we've had, like Scott Malin. Scott Malin is great. He is one of the best artists that we found in the last year, and he's been a joy to work with. Same thing with Kofun. He's out of Japan. I don't know if he listens to these or not, but if he is, his art is always much appreciated. I do want to say a thank you. He's not here physically, But I want to say thank you to Joseph Healy. You might have heard that he passed away recently. He passed away from the virus not too long after we had met at Bell County Comic Con, and he assembled all of our books for the last 2 years. There were mistakes that he had made in the past, but he always fixed it to the point where the readers don't even know, because we always got them the book. It always looked amazing. He helped Doug walk through it, and I don't know, he's gonna be missed for sure. And it was nice being able to talk to someone and vent whenever something went wrong, because even when something went wrong, you knew you were going to talk to someone, and he never ever snapped back. He always listened, he always apologized, and he always made it right. Now recently, you might have heard Doug talk about it, and again, this is one of those grievances I have against pros. There's another pro who went with the same printer, and he put out a public statement saying, well, this guy, he dropped the ball and then he dropped dead of COVID. And I'm like, I'm going to just curse for a while, but I'm like, you are a bastard. Seriously. You are kind of everything that I don't like in the professional mainstream industry. I don't even care if you're from the former mainstream. Your attitude, or I don't know what part of it in your body or in your mind told you that that was an okay thing to say publicly to someone who cannot defend themselves because they're deceased, and you're not going to talk to them anymore, and we're not going to talk to them anymore. They can't defend themselves. And I was very happy that Doug did that. We had heard about it while he and I both had the virus, so we didn't have the energy to say anything. But just after a while, we thought, you know what? I think it behooves us, as far as a sense of justice and mercy is concerned, to speak for the dead that can't defend themselves. So Joseph Healy is going to be missed. He assembled our books. He assembled Doug Ernst's. I think Arc Athena and Common America were the last things that he worked on. And he worked on all of Doug TenNapel's books too. He did not drop the ball, and he did not drop it dead. He was a human being, and he needs to be respected as such. And if anything, I hope that your update is a lasting testimony publicly to why I don't like you. If you tend to be a professional, in a way confirms a lot of my prejudices. But anyway, God bless you, Joseph Healy. You did a great job, and we're going to miss you. So anyway, let's see. Who did I miss in the chat while I was talking? There's one. Art Mark. Hey, Art Mark. This guy draws in the trigger style. Art, hey, Mark, I'm going to get a commission from you very soon. We just set up our budget for the next year. So hopefully I can put you to work. In the meantime, if you don't mind messaging me, I need to know if the Trigger Shop will mail internationally, because I saw that you got some cool stuff from them recently. And I want to get the same cool stuff because I know that they're releasing things here pretty soon. So that is definitely something that I want to get in on. But I don't know if they mail from Japan to here, or if they use like a courier service or whatnot. Cheyenne asks, will he get a mention in the next book? Yes. Actually, Common America 4 is dedicated to him. The day he passed away, I actually called and requested a favor, because our books, so the way it works is that we're in an assembly line queued up for printing, and the last thing is binding. Typically, the printing is actually done fairly early on. And I said, is there a way, if you haven't gone to press yet, I know that we've done this back and forth, but can you please substitute this page for a dedication? So if you're listening, the 37, 38 of you, or the people who are listening after the fact, you'll know Common America 4 is dedicated to this man. So, yeah. Let's see here. Comics pros do seem to be like sociopaths. I want to be nice because, like I said, I know guys like Chuck Dixon and Eric Kennedy, and I don't think they're sociopaths, but I'm there. That prejudice in me is tempted to agree with you just based on some of the things I see, where I'm like, what in the world are you saying? Like, how in the world did you think that was something that you could publicly do and think it would be okay? And I think the thing I'm most disappointed in is, I think that if someone like me or Mark had said something similar, I think our readers are very kind and smart people. that they would drop us in a heartbeat, because they would say that, you know, man, this guy's a jerk, like to the point where we can't support him anymore. But I see people who are always like, oh, well, I think his art is great. But, you know, who am I to judge? I went on a rant a few minutes ago talking about not liking me for my personality, but still buying my book. So, you know, forgive me as well. There are times when I think I need to learn my own patience and humility when it comes to the actions of others. So I'm not perfect either. I'm far from it. Okay, let's take a look here. Hey, Doug's in the chat. Congrats, man. I have some good content to listen to on my drive. It's pretty boring, Doug. I'm not the entertainer that you are. Speaking of which, this is how good of an entertainer Doug is. So you might have seen on Twitter his last few community posts or videos on YouTube, but Doug actually substituted as a Ninja Turtle he actually wore the costume that typically follows Vanilla Ice on tours whenever he's in concert. So I mean, Doug is kind of he has it in him. He definitely has the bones to be an entertainer. So, whew, Doug, I hope it's a short drive, because my goodness, that might not be a fun one to listen to. Okay, so a lot of people to thank. If I didn't catch you, please know that one, I'm embarrassed because there's a huge laundry list of you that I need to thank personally. I do want to thank the people at Iconic Comics. They make all of this happen. If something happened to them, at the end of the day, I honestly don't know what would happen. One, it would be a tragedy. Two, it would be a logistical nightmare. I don't think there could be any substitute for the time, talent, and dedication that they put into doing any of this stuff. I'm very grateful, and I think Doug and Alejandro and all of us are very grateful for the work that they do over there. It is whatchamacallit, kind of running out of things to say. Oh, let's talk about things coming on the horizon. So if you looked at the update, Kamen America Volume 4, the PDF, is going to be delivered to you guys in about 10 to 14 days. It comes as soon as we get the funding. So I think it's in 10 days we get the funding, but then 4 days for it to clear our bank. And then we're going to send it to you. And then we're going to reveal a whole slew of very cool things that we've been keeping secret up till now. So there are some very neat things to look forward to. There is a big thing that's happening in November that I cannot reveal at the moment. It is one of those, like, don't shoot until you see the white of their eyes type thing. And next year is going to be a lot of fun. That is really all I can say. We have a lot of things in the pipeline, a lot of things that we're working on. Kamen America will hopefully continue to grow with your readership and with your support. And hopefully, as I say, with a rising tide, I really do hope that you like all the work put out by the Iconic Comics guys, whether that be Punchline with Bill and Matt, Alejandro with Long Harbor, and I think he's working on Long Harbor too, Doug with Soul Finder, and all the other titles that we have in there. I hope you find something you like. I hope that we continue to all succeed together. There is no gatekeeper. There is no fealty or loyalty. There is only us to move forward. And I hope that we can make sure to maintain your readership by providing you with something very entertaining and something uplifting and wholesome, if that's your thing. If not, you can read Alejandro's book and just be scared to death and have nightmares. But it is, regardless, still really, really cool. It has a really good book, by the way, if you haven't picked it up, and if that is your thing. Oh, Paul's NYC. I'm glad that you stopped by too. Congratulations. Haters are gonna hate, but so glad you'll ignore and keep moving forward. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to ignore just because people send this stuff my way, and some of it's just flat out lies where I'm just like, oh my gosh, something else I have to address. But we're just kind of doing our own thing. It's all that we really can do. All righty. Very exciting things happening. Very exciting announcements that we're going to have for you here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I can't wait. Fill out your surveys. Enjoy Kamen America. Make sure that you tune in tomorrow for the webtoon. If you haven't subscribed to it yet, it's over on Webtoons. It's free. We put out a new strip every Wednesday between 9 and 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you are on Webtoons and have a subscription, you'll be automatically notified, and I should be populated when that strip goes live. So we have a lot of really cool things. that we're working on. Want to thank you all. God bless you. We're very humbled by all the support that we have. We can't do it without you guys. We're just very excited. And I think the onus of responsibility is on us to just make sure that we can make you happy. But the feedback that we're getting and the love and the support that we've received definitely makes us happy too. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.